Jeff's going around some people up. They'll probably listen to you better than me. They're all upstairs. They're on the machines.
Yes. I know how to use my machine, kind of like, like that it's fun, like get all the other networking and stuff that where she's like she's hardware that she wants to use it as a training and so
Come on, Noah.
Here's your.
Okay. You gotta sit. You gotta sit down. You gotta sit down.
I can't. I just cut those guys.
Yeah. Tell them to come down here.
This is the blue.
No, it's with the first program. It's a pandemic and mobile university. Yeah. What'd you say? Oh. Sorry. I mean, this is probably really good for people here.
I didn't know if you needed. I was looking for it.
Yeah, I'll hold on to it, and then I'll come up and get one more done. So. Justin, can you hear us? Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. We're still trying to round people up. Obviously they're doing some making, and people are pretty excited about their stuff. So we're trying to round them up and get them down here for the meeting. So I apologize.
We'll be here on standby.
I can barely hear.
Okay.
And we're going to put some bodies in the seats.
yeah.
So, hey, would you guys want to talk on the other end? Give it so we can do an audio level. Make sure you guys are nice and loud over here. Here, can you count down? Countdown. I'll find your microphone's pretty far away. I can hear you. Just your microphone seems pretty far away, so I've got you turned up as high as I can go here. Testing 1 2 3 4. Test 1 2 3 4. Test, test, test. Is this a Red Solo Cup day? Is that what this is, Justin? Well, we've got a couple folks here. If you guys want to, I don't want to take any more of your time than I already have today. I really appreciate your last minute. We've got some folks in the audience, some folks are going to start meandering downstairs possibly during your presentation, and it's going to kind of be an open discussion. We've got some folks here that probably have some questions for you, but I think the biggest thing is that we're here at Case Western Reserve University, and we're here at a 3-day maker camp. Can you folks hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you. I feel like I'm talking to the International Space Station a little bit, because it's like there's that little bit of lag, and I'm not sure whether you're hearing me. There you go. So we're here at Case Western Reserve University. We're doing a project called Camp Make It. We've been here. We're on our second day of 3 days. We've got about 25 teachers here from all over Ohio. And a lot of the teachers some teachers are currently into the maker movement. Some teachers came to the camp to learn about the maker movement. And just love to hear some of your insight on how you've been integrated with Louisville and kind of your direction as far as the maker world.
Now we can't hear him.
Check, 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 check. We had you. We had your audio. We still don't have your audio now. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything you're saying. We've got audio leaving here, and we had you, and then your audio went away.
Yeah, I'll announce upstairs.
Oh, that was somebody else.
First bill, it's the
We still don't have you, Justin.
first bill.
No audio.
Makerspace University.
We still see you, but no audio.
And they're partnered with GE.
Okay.
Test 1, 2, 3. We still can't hear you guys. I'm not sure what changed, but we were connected and we heard you. We could hear your audio. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We still can't hear you yet. Still can't hear you. I see your lips moving, Justin, but I'm not hearing you.
That's why we just want to keep girls.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4. The problem, Justin, is that link. I'm archiving this presentation for folks that couldn't make it down to see you. Might I make a suggestion that you disconnect and reconnect to that link, and let's see if sometimes that corrects those issues. So if you hang up from this call and go back to that link, and let's see if we can get your audio back.
Everybody's pretty engaged.
There's no at least. So there's no. We need like 20 more people sitting down here. Yeah. I think
Test 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
We can hear you now. We have some audio.
I don't know.
No, you're good. I think she's good.
It'll be like this.
So stay perfectly still, and then put your one arm above your head, and that'll help it come in a little better. How's that?
That's a trick.
There you go.
All right, we've got you on a Bluetooth speaker and a laptop. So to hear everything we're talking about.
So you heard a little bit about us, right, Justin, what we're doing here, and we're doing a maker camp. We've got about 25 educators, all those good things, and I know some folks from eHobie made that connection to your office and your facility, and they're sitting in the front row, front and center for you there. So, this is kind of talk to us a little bit about how you're integrating in the maker role.
Yeah, definitely. Would you like? Is everybody familiar with First Build, or would it be good if we kind of give a little overview of what First Build is and then talk about the space?
I think that's great. Yep, that'd be wonderful.
Okay. I'll start off and give a little bit of an overview of First Build, and then maybe Sam can tell you a little bit more about the space. And we've got a few other folks with us. Randy, who helped set up the shop. Mary Beckman's on our community team and helping a couple elementary schools actually with setting up a maker space now, or high school, sorry. And then Wayne Davis leads our commercial and marketing team. So you got a good cross section of the First Build team here. Sam heads our design team, and I work with our community team as well on how we do open innovation. First Build's a wholly owned subsidiary of GE Appliances. What we were really looking for is a way to embrace the startup culture, the way of kind of the maker culture that we're seeing in shops and people building. One of the guiding principles of the space is a prototype is worth 1,000 meetings. So rather than talking about things that we could be doing, we want to actually be building prototypes and make it happen. We do that through open innovation on the design side, low scale manufacturing or low volume manufacturing on the build side. And then when we go to market, we try using new ways of going to market and actually selling product in low volumes to validate the R&D that we do. So in that way, we're able to hopefully design creative new ideas, scale up and build in small quantities. And when we find successes, take those to GE at a lower cost than what would traditionally be spent in R&D or scaling up a product. Sam, do you want to talk a little bit about the facility?
Sure. I think what Justin was, the key is in terms of being a maker space and what we're trying to do, we've opened this up to the community and the community of makers. And yet we're part of an endeavor to try to also create 12 new products a year. And, through this open collaboration, we help bring in more ideas and more hands and bodies to get that done. So it's a unique way to have a maker space. We're not a for-profit model in terms of selling our equipment or time, but we definitely want to make products and change the game in terms of the products that we can deliver and change the way that we I guess something that's we're trying to do is shorten the gap to ultimately the customer and with the broadest network of people possible. So our space is really you want to talk about the space, Randy, since you built it out.
So we sit inside of about 35,000 square feet. We're open. So first of all, we're open to the public from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We're actually here. There's someone here. Engineers and staff are here from 7 to 5 for the most part. A lot of people hang out past that time, but then we bring University of Louisville students over to help us manage the facility until 9 o'clock at night. So on Saturdays, we're open 9 to 5. Now, as Sam said, we're not a for-profit. We're not like Tech Shop. We're not like Level One where you got to pay a membership. Our philosophy is that this facility's open while we're here innovating. And if you can come in and spend time with us innovating, then the more the merrier. We do recover our M&R cost and our expenses for, if you're going to come in and run our universal laser, we've got a very minimal fee to use that universal laser to cut whatever project you're working on. And it's primarily just to cover the maintenance and repair over a year's time. So it's affordable. We're not trying to run there's not a P&L line item that says I got to generate, X number of dollars.
But for example, you're all probably are familiar with MakerBots. We'll charge $2 a print for a MakerBot use, flat fee, so that's very low. Yep. And then if they use our material, we sell material basically at our carrying cost, so we're not trying to make money on the material.
Now in the back, so you got to understand, we are our front end. So we're in three primarily. The physical facility is chopped into three sections, which you can see from one end to the other. They just have some physical barriers to protect people from going from one area to the other. And when I say one area to the other, we have a very, very high level shop in the back that has some very expensive equipment in it. And individuals from the community actually can gain access to those areas based on their skills qualifications. So things back there are CNC equipment, water jet, very, very high powered laser cutting equipment. And we use that shop obviously to make our prototypes with. So that is the build section. And then we have the build floor where we actually assemble appliances is attached to that shop as well. So that's the three levels of access to our facility. And in any one of those areas, you will find different levels of technology for consumers or community members to use. So does that kind of lay out the landscape and the architect of how we are? Okay. Now, material-wise, we have a plethora of materials on site, and interesting enough, what happens there is because of the materials required to build an appliance product range basically the full gambit. Plus, we model out of all types of materials, so we keep that material here and we keep it loaded into an online. We have a local, actually, we have an online point of purchase system managed by Shopify, and we load all of our materials into that Shopify. And as a maker, if you come in, matter of fact, there's a couple makers out there right now, and if you come in, you say, I need a piece of 12 by 12 stainless steel, and I've got it back there in the back, we've got everything priced out by the square foot. We assure you up a piece 12 by 12, and you walk up to the register, slide your credit card, and we sell it to you. So we don't specifically look at market trends and try to decide what materials we ought to stock. It's one of those that if we got it, we'll be happy to sell it to you. If we don't have it, then we encourage you to bring it, obviously bring it yourself. So.
Is that what you're looking for, Jeff?
Yeah, I had to unmute my mic there because I was worried about you'd get feedback from us. That's great. It gives us an idea of what all you're doing. I've got some folks here in the audience, but talk a little bit about, I know you touched on a little bit in regards to your connection in the K-12 environment. Can we talk a little more detail about that, or?
You want to jump in on that, Mary?
How we work with K-12?
Yeah.
Or what a K-12 makerspace would be.
Yeah. What do you think of all that?
I think K through 6 would be pretty difficult.
Sure.
But one of the things that we're doing with Academy at Shawnee is we are working on kind of developing a makerspace such that junior high, middle school age through high school can all use it. So the way we're working it is all the science classes, art classes, anything that can have a hands-on project to teach. So project-based learning is a big part of it. All of those are taught in the makerspace. So we start by having the teachers kind of teach the class as well as manage that space. So if there are other students, they kind of keep an eye out until we can get to a point where we make it self-sustaining. That is a big portion of what we're trying to do with these schools. If it's not self-sustaining, as you guys well know, that funding, that grant disappears, the program is completely gone, you can't even buy materials. So the important thing that we've tried to implement is being able to make a product out of the space that the students can sell. So in some of the struggling neighborhoods that we have locally, it adds a lot of value for the students to participate in the first place because they can get money. But then a portion of those sales goes to maintaining that makerspace. It goes to getting the materials, keeping the equipment in working condition. The equipment that we're installing is more on the order of some woodworking equipment, some MakerBots, some soldering, electronic stations. We're doing screen printing, plotting, sign making, some media blasting. Let's see, what else are we putting in there? A laser cutter. So some of the things that we're trying to think through product-wise, what resonates with the students. Generally at the younger ages, shoes, book bags, these are all kind of big things. And if they can design their own, start figuring out how to sell them, t-shirts even, with the screen printing, that enables quite a bit. And the idea is if they can get involved with something they can resonate with and they can actually manufacture, then you can start teaching, say, the sciences such as materials, even in high school, the physics, mold making, so they can do a shop bot, which is going to CNC route a plastic mold, and then they could cast silicones and something to make kind of shoes out of the bottom of a shoe. Then with sewing machines, you get the leather aspect, so now they can start kind of sewing these pieces together, putting them together, and not only are you teaching materials how they go into a product, you're actually encompassing that whole real life story of how things go from an idea all the way to a product. So those are some very important aspects that we're looking at and implementing with makerspaces that we're working with already.
If you could give a top 5 list of some folks here that are just starting into the makerspace movement in their districts, what are some things you could give a quick advice to say, here's a couple things that you really ought to look at when you're developing that?
I would say look at things that resonate with the kids, stuff that they're really into. What are they carrying around on them? What are they excited about? And identifying those objects and try to figure out a way that you can actually make them into makerspace. If they're excited about it, they're gonna participate. They're gonna tell all their friends about it, and they're gonna want to build it. So that would be my number one thing, what resonates with the kids. Another thing would be, once you figure out what that item is that resonates with the kids, then start looking at how do you teach it. The more you can teach out of that makerspace, like use it as the classroom. The more involved everyone's going to get, the more excited they're going to get. They're going to see it as a norm instead of something that they only get to go to once in a while. The more that they are there, the more that they're learning about the tools, putting 2 and 2 together equals 4 instead of kind of like, oh yeah, this chemistry thing, I don't know, there's these atoms and electrons and protons, and then suddenly when they actually combine the chemicals, they're like, oh, that's what happens. It's just like labs, only in kind of a bigger scale. You get to do more in it. Another thing would be taking a look at safety, a hard look at safety. It's always one of those things that kind of starts getting forgot, but when you put it in the forefront, you can see all of the tools that you can, unfortunately cut a finger off with. Those we're actually putting behind a locked gate. So with permission only, with training only, do those kids actually get to use the equipment. Most of the equipment, like a jigsaw, and even table saws and routers and all those sorts of equipment, are actually found in garages. Not so much these days, but back then, yeah. So it's not like it should be unfamiliar to a kid. They probably have used it. Some of them have used it before, but you got to take extra precautions to make sure that no one that doesn't know how to use the equipment has access to the equipment. So lockout, tagouts, making sure that the power is completely cut when not in use. Safety glasses are present. For soldering stations, you have a little fan to kind of dissipate the smoke. Let's see. I'm trying to think of another. I think those are really my top 3.
I'll jump in with, if you're familiar with lean principles, 5S has been really big in our workshop, and it's just making sure everything's labeled as far as where do tools go when they come back. So we've literally got A-frames that are shadow boxed where you can see where every tool goes when it's done, and it's got a label on it. But then rather than us or rather than you being the one who's going to clean that lab up every night before it closes, it says right where everything goes. So everybody's able to make themselves at home. They can find what they need. But more importantly, they can take care of it, clean it up. You know if anything's missing, that it needs repaired, or that you need to go find it to replace it. So 5S is a good manufacturing principle that's been able to apply well to our space. Were there any others?
No, not, I think key for at least the middle school age is going to be some level of parental or involvement. It's not required or expected on all kids, but, engaged parents tend to help bring the kids and are regularly, there to support the kids and helps you get a lot more done.
I think that's a very great point, but I think the space is almost more important to those who do not have parental involvement. And so capturing some of those students, because they're
Sure.
not learning the skills, because they don't have anyone to teach them.
Yeah.
So it's almost more important to capture those that don't have that parental
Sure.
involvement.
It's got to be open to both, I
It
guess.
has to be
But
open.
So talk to us a minute about the cool things that have left your place. Were the moments that you all went, man, I can't believe that they made that, or that they created that, or even just a great story about a district that you were working with, and all of a sudden it was like the light bulb went off and it clicked. Do you have any of those types of things?
Do you want the 10 that we did today or the 100 that we did yesterday? No, what's fascinating is things happen out there. I guess you know that you built the culture and the equipment and the facility correctly when you can walk around and things are coming and going on a daily basis. And I'm amazed at what I see every single day with somebody carrying it out. And I said, did you do that in here? Yes. And so, we're actively engaged with every single person that comes in the door, seeing what they're making. And it's everything from, I really can't say, is it this one gizmo, because we cover so many different interests with so many different people. It could be a family photograph that was laser etched on wood that somebody's going to use as a centerpiece at a wedding, to a young lady who brought a dress in on the laser and did some kind of lace cutting on the top of the dress so that, she could take it to a designer. And, things for a fashion show. It's every day. If you're passionate about seeing things made, you could just hang out in here all day, and
the cool thing is the gamut that we run. I mean,
Yes.
it's furniture, it's some
clothes,
yeah,
it's whiskey barrel lids,
electronics, it's biomedical. It's not just appliances. We've built the infrastructure to be able to do, and create just about anything.
And what's fascinating, Sam brings up a great point, and we don't go out and solicit, and that's the fascinating part, is people come in, and it takes a little while for the maker space to kind of grab hold, as they say, or to take root. But we don't target a specific audience here. We would love to have everybody here working on an appliance product, but obviously we don't discriminate like that. The space is open and inviting to everyone. And it's fascinating to see the breadth of coverage, from drones to PCs to MP3 players to a young man made his own hearing aid to
the robotic hand.
They had made a robotic hand. They had I could just rattle on for days. That's why I said, you want to know the 10. I just saw two gentlemen back there working on something a little while ago that just fascinated me, and they're not done with it yet. But it'll grow. You've succeeded when you start to see the breadth of the projects that are going on. Now, granted, you got to understand this difference. We are not connected very well with K through 12. We are connected, but all of this activity is with folks that are 18 years of age and older. So we have a slightly different perspective on our makerspace than what a high school makerspace would be. Now, it's not to say it can't be that way. We just live in a different part of the spectrum than you would. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think being from the Louisville, Kentucky area, I found the whiskey barrel lid projects are probably, those come in quite a bit off the street.
See, there's a new an interesting story for weddings. Instead of having a guest registry, they'll take a whiskey barrel lid, laser engrave the name in the center of it with an initial, and then everybody that comes in signs in a Sharpie around that lid, and then they hang it in the hang it on the wall somewhere in the house for the newlywed couple, and that's everybody who went to their wedding signed in on the whiskey barrel lid. So, yeah, I've seen a handful of those done in here, and you're right, it's quite popular in this area. They're getting harder and harder to get. So.
Do we have any questions out in the crowd? Or I really appreciate you folks' time. This last minute stuff is awesome, and it's certainly we appreciate it. We got a lot of folks here that have a lot of that are in the middle of all of this, and it's nice to hear from what all of you folks are doing in other parts of the country.
I tell you the truth, seeing and doing is believing. Everybody that comes in says, wow, I pick up this vibe when they come through the door, and I think that's important that you include that aspect. So we talked a lot about the hard things like, tools and equipment and rules and access, but that whole soft side of the maker movement, and that is, we have our rules on the wall out here that everybody sees when they come in, and it talks about being awesome with each other and exchanging ideas and free flowing. That whole culture has to be active and alive in any makerspace for it to succeed. If you've got a bunch of people sitting around a table and nobody's talking to each other and everybody's working in total silence and nobody's sharing anything, it just basically becomes a library at that point, right? And this is not about this. This is a very active facility. I guarantee, I almost challenge one of you to come in and just walk in the door without unannounced and see how long you're here before somebody comes over and says, hey, can I help you? Or, what are you here for? And what are your interests? So, it's that level of engagement. Now you got to remember, we do have regular jobs to do, but we do our best to make sure that everybody that comes in here feels the welcomeness of the makerspace. And I wanted to add that because we don't spend enough time talking about the culture, and it's very important for successful makerspaces to be just like a hangout, just like you would anywhere else. It's like going to somebody's garage on the weekend and hanging out and making something,
We do have a question here from some folks.
Do you want me to come up?
He should be able to hear you.
Okay. When you said that you had a water jet cutter, that kind of piqued my interest. If I was someone off the street and I came in and I wanted to water jet a part, what would it require from me to be able to use that machine?
So the first time they come in with a mod file, a DXF file, what we'll do is we'll sit down and they'll sit right next to us and we'll show them how the water jet actually works for their particular project. Then we tell them, next time you come in, we're going to let you run it yourself, and we'll run them through some background and some training on it. The water jet cutter is a very simple piece of machinery to operate, believe it or not. So we'll run them through a little bit of crash course in here's how it works, and it's like riding a bicycle. We will teach them to ride that bicycle over a course of 3 or 4 visits. So some take to it very well. Others say, no, it's not for me. And they won't lie to you. They just say, no, I'll let you guys cut it. What we do is the first one, we don't typically charge unless it's a very lengthy cut. And then we try to eliminate ourselves out of the equation. If we feel safe that you're going to operate that machine, and the safeguards are in place. Unless you dive in the machine and put your finger underneath the jet, you're really not going to hurt yourself or it. Now, we do not grant them access to our Amada laser. We have a 4,000 watt laser. You cannot get access, period. We have 2 CNC machining centers and a CNC press brake. You won't get access to those. So there are strategic assets that both you can tear up or you could kill or maim yourself pretty bad. You never will get access to those. But the water jet has proven to be one of the most universal pieces in our shop, and a lot of community members use it.
What's the footprint on your water jet? How big is the bed?
5 by 10.
Okay. And what's the thickness capacity?
12-inch concrete, 8-inch steel. It's 50,000 inside. It's monster. But
All right.
are you thinking about coming down and cutting?
Yeah.
All right, bring it. Believe it or not, we cut a rock on there about 6 months ago. A guy wanted to put his flagpole through the middle of this rock. We chucked it up there and cut a big giant hole in it, and it went through it just fine. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's the most universal tool we got, and bring it down, and we'll do our best to help you out.
Any other questions from the group?
One thing. Now, who pays you every week? I mean, are you guys working for GE? Are you working for college? How does that work?
We work for GE.
Okay.
Think about it this way. This is an R&D center. It's an R&D center that you can come hang out in alongside the people who are innovating new appliance products. So, can you go to Detroit and go in the lab where they're building the concept car for the Detroit Auto Show and sit down and work right alongside them? You can't do that, right? Here you can walk right through our front door and sit down and watch and work right alongside us as we make the next pizza oven or innovation that's going out the door. So for all intents and purposes, we're a GE facility. Obviously, it runs under a different name for a lot of different reasons, but we're a fully vetted operation at GE.
Okay. Here's my next question, and it's okay if you say no. Noah and I'm in the red, Noah's in the green. We've had a Fab Lab for the past 5 years, and have run a lot of different students through our Fab Lab. And as you were saying, you've noticed a lot of innovation with the people that walk in and out of your doors. And so with this huge maker movement, and really people from all over Ohio are at this meeting today, or the next couple days, would GE be interested in hosting or doing some type of innovation project that a pilot group of schools could get involved with, that we could help spur kids to be innovative or look to those types of things?
So, interesting question, because here's where we're at and we've made it obviously clear that we're working with some local schools to try to get maker spaces off the ground and see how to grow that. Obviously, in our mind, trying to learn, we got to teach. We don't know yet how a high school makerspace is supposed to operate. It'd be foolish for us to tell you that we knew exactly how to start up and run a high school makerspace or even a middle school makerspace, because we have no idea how to do that. We're learning right now as we go, and we're learning that our model doesn't fit 100% drop in with a high school or a middle school. It obviously needs to be tweaked. But I tell you what we are doing in our outreach, Skills USA, and I don't know whether you're familiar with Skills USA, but the national event is here in Louisville coming up in 3 weeks. That's a high school and high school level a competition for everybody who's in skilled trades, which it can be anything from hairdressing to bricklaying, masonry, welding. Anyway, their championships are here. And we're going to set a makerspace up that's 100 by 100 square feet at the Nationals for their event, and just, again, try to figure out what does that high school maker movement need to look like. So that's where, as opposed to, what you had proposed, we're kind of on a path of still trying to figure out what does that thing look like, Because we'd be happy to join in on something, but I don't know that we would bring a lot of value to that, because we don't know the answer.
So I probably didn't do a good job explaining that. So we're pretty vetted in the maker movement. Noah and I are, and there are quite a few other high schools around us that are vetted in it. I'm just saying, as the maker movement goes on, I think what is kind of neat is that, if there's challenges out there, the kids could do things, because a lot of times they think of stuff that we don't ever think of, that may be innovative, that could we partner with somebody like you to have challenges or different things. Maybe you could pose a challenge to a group of high schools to do something like that.
Yeah, and we do a lot with that. Actually, you guys can all go to firstbuild.com and you can see all the activity. We basically publicly publish what we're working on as far as projects. And we do come up with a specific challenge, we'll actually host that online. And we'll put out basically a cash bounty around helping solve that problem that we're struggling with. There is a caveat to that of we are part of GE and we have to report to GE lawyers. And to give anyone under 18 to even let them participate in that challenge, they need permission from their parents. So their parents need to sign off on their account and their entry to even be eligible. So there are some legal challenges that we need to overcome or processes that we need to follow as part of that. But that's one restriction that we have in working with the students, is that they need a legal guardian to sign off on anything that they do submit, or we're not able to utilize that information or that entry that they've done.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Anything else, folks?
No, thank you for your time.
Hey, we really appreciate the time, this last minute stuff. I'm sure you have your really day jobs here, and then you get emails from us saying, hey, we want to talk today. So we really appreciate the time you invested today. We've got folks here who have invested a lot of time the last 48 hours, I feel like 48 hours. So once again, we appreciate it, and we hope to talk with you again real soon.
Glad to do it. And something you can do and just learn, if you haven't been to our facility, go to our website and you'll gain some more in-depth knowledge of how our community is structured and how our ideas come together. And you can take a little virtual tour of our facility if you haven't done so already.
I'm going to add that to the resources that the folks have, the folks that couldn't make this presentation. And yeah, certainly. And then I got your, Justin, I got your link, and I'm going to add that to the resources also.
Perfect. And we're glad to hear other folks are helping keep the maker movement alive, and appreciate you guys driving that into schools so that kids get their hands on and learn in person by actually building themselves. So appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing.
Well, we appreciate your time today, and thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.